expected, nothing less. And I look forward to your comments. We have Vice President Mood.
Paul's just running a few minutes behind, so we'll go ahead and get started. A few years ago, we did a pitch study on EMS and quite a bit of tension through it because the fire departments weren't involved. So as we were working forward towards this, we wanted to do the polar opposite of that. So currently where we are is we are in the beginning of the survey and the study. So what we're doing is getting all the information together, getting it to Fitch for them to actually do the study. And the goal out of this is just to see what the needs in the county are as a whole and how we move forward here. We don't have a plan yet. The plan will be out in 60 to 90 days from the Fitch group to see what their report is. And then throughout the entire process, we want to work together with the volunteer system as well as the career system to make the best system we can for Jefferson County. So there is no plan, there is no goal at this point other than seeing where we need to be.
We're still collecting information. Nothing is final. So that's very important because we want this to be as collaborative as possible.
Pass on to Ross and we'll see what your vision of things are.
All right, well, good evening. My name's Ross Morgan, Fire Chief. First I want to welcome everyone here to not only the oldest fire department in Jefferson County, but the oldest fire department in the state of West Virginia. We were established in 1792. I'm not sure where to get started at. I know in the past couple ones, they had asked what accomplishments and goals and whatnot. So I guess I'll start off as our biggest accomplishment here has been public relations. As long as I can ever remember. We have had the great opportunity to work with the public, our community, and we cannot survive it without their help. And that's one thing that's been pounded in our heads for as long as I can remember. Maybe Mike Casey can remember longer than I can, but public relations is the key to success, and that is the truth. And we bend over backwards for our community, and they do the same for us. I guess one of the biggest hiccups or conflicts, whatever we have, is our biggest struggle. I think that's what the question was impossible to say. So our biggest struggle has been, and maybe still is, hopefully makes a change, but it has been, really truly, it's been the county commission. That's been our biggest hurdle for the past 20, 30 years. Trying to make them understand our needs for not only staffing, but funding. You know, when our association, which is the all state fire departments combined, we started talking about funding at least 20 years ago and got more involved in it at least 15 years ago. And that, we talked about a fee versus levy versus fee. I personally want a fee. But that, all the conversations were mainly towards funding, helping fund departments to help keep the doors open. We did build in some revenue for staffing. And I do agree that staffing nowadays is the best way to meet that's our most important need. Like the rest of us have, the rest of the departments have said in the past on these town hall meetings. But I don't want the commission to get misleading here because we need both. And that's what we started to ask about for a long time is funding to help keep the doors open. Some of our older departments like ourselves, we do a much better job of getting more lucky to have this because we've been around longer. But the younger departments, they struggle. Some of them just don't have the clientele, the public like we have. So they do struggle to keep the doors open. So that's why we've been pounding and pounding and pounding in the county commissions in the past 20 years. Some of them here were just probably teenagers at that time, but they have to come up with some kind of funding mechanism to help us survive. And now they gotta come up with some kind of funding mechanism to help provide staffing. Because it is getting harder and harder for volunteers. And, unfortunately, the easiest way to solve this, I know it never happened, is for everybody in the community to step up and volunteer. Seriously. But I know that's an irrelevant question, but if everybody in the whole Jefferson County would step up and volunteer their services to their departments, we could probably have enough staffing or adequate staffing, but that's not the way the culture goes. So here we are, so we need help with not only staffing, but funding to help keep the doors open. And I guess that's all for now. I'm sure I have other things. I know we'll have other things to say.
And Marshall, would you like to say some words?
I don't have anything opening. No,
Okay.
I'm good.
I had a question, about your funding mechanisms for Shepherdstown Fire Department.
Hey, here you go.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So I had to listen to Eddie as well. What are your funding mechanisms to keep your doors open? Could you explain that?
Ours is 98%, correct me if I'm wrong, Jenny, 80 to 90% fundraiser. This department does our apple butter, which starts next week. We have again gun bash in 2 weeks after that, which is a very large fundraiser for us, but we also do weekly bingos. We have a lot of special bingos that we do for other organizations, and that's part of back to where the community relations work hand in hand. We help them and they help provide their labor for us to help our fundraisers be successful. We get some money from the state and we've been getting some money from the county. The only thing wrong with that in the past 20 years again, it's never a known number. It's never a sustainable number. I can remember when it was back 60,000 for a couple of years, then it would drop down to 40-some thousand. Fortunately, I think for the past 3 years, it's been up to 80, 85, but it's no guarantee every year. So departments have a hard time putting their own budget together, not knowing what we're going to get from the county. But that's 80 to 90% of our come from us doing fundraisers.
We are projecting, what have you seen as a trend for your fundraising? Has it gone up? Is there a struggle?
It's, no, it's maintaining, and I think it's kind of going up. The struggle is getting our members or our volunteers to do it, because a lot of volunteers who join the fire department today, they join because they want to ride the fire engines and ride the ambulance. They didn't join to do bingos all the time and all that. Now, a lot of them do. We're very fortunate that majority of our membership does both, but we do have a few that only run fire, which is great. I mean, I support that 100%. This is one department that does not require our members to work bingos and work apple butter and everything to ride the fire truck. There are some other departments that require that, but no. I go down to Mrs. Jones and say, I'm sorry, but we had a clear fireman that could ride, but he didn't do his bingo this week. So that is out of the question in this organization, never has been. But yeah, as far as fundraising, ours is continuing to grow. Our gun bash has been our big success for the past 8 years now, and every year it's sold out. This year we was sold out in 3 weeks, and we, with the waiting of it. So, and then again, it's our community that comes out and help us, non-members, but there's a lot of community support that help.
I'm good.
Asha, as you're starting, would you trying to give insight to the scope of this meeting? We should.
We all talked about the where we are in the process. Yeah,
Yeah.
good, okay. So since it's already been discussed, and sorry I was late, we had a meeting with the governor about economic development in the region. I'm very glad that everybody could make it out tonight. The turnout here is fantastic. As was said earlier, we're trying to get feedback from the community and from our experts in the volunteer fire departments on what the needs of the community are as we look 10 and 20 years down the road. So the scope is not just the next 6 months and not just the next year, but 10 or 20 years down the road. How are we going to solve this problem that is not a Jefferson County problem? It's an America problem. All across America, the volunteer rate's either steady or going down, and yet the needs are going up. Those two things don't match. If we don't address the trend now, then in 5 years, we're gonna see failures. Well, we can't have that. So we want to get ahead of the problem. With this study, we're collecting data from the community, and that's why we want to hear from you tonight. We have had a few town halls already. One bit of feedback that I got that I thought was really interesting was there was a lot of feedback about ambulance. The county commission has a statutory obligation to provide ambulances. We are legally obligated to do that. So I'd love to hear from the community. How do you feel about ambulance service? How do you feel about the apparatus, whether it's sufficient? How does that play in with staffing for the ambulances? The interplay between staffing for the ambulances and volunteers. We'd love to learn from you on what your thoughts are on that. Because I can tell you, we've come to these fire town halls to ask about the future of fire service. And every single time people said, yeah, well, let's talk about ambulances too. So the floor is open.
Yeah, sorry I was late too. We were at the same meeting. Usually I guess give a little bit of history about why we're here as well. About a little over a year ago, the Fire Association came to the county and asked for a levy. At that time, the commission decided to do a study, and that's why we're here. Just to be clear, 3 out of the 5 commissioners, were not on the board at the time. And I am the only commissioner who was on the board when the first fish study was completed. That was the ambulance study back in 2021. So a lot of our county commissioners are new, and they were going through the fire study now. That was something that was voted on by a previous commission. So we're here tonight to, like you said, like Pasha said, hear from the community, hear your thoughts. This study is not completed yet. I think it's going to be completed in about 6 months. So we're here with visiting the community members now to get your feedback. Thank you.
Well, let's toss the microphone out to the public and hear comments from you. And just raise your hand if you want to talk. And as we're sending that microphone around, thank you. So I just want to recognize Mayor Gatz. Thank you so much for coming, Mr. Mayor, and joining us for this town hall. Thank you for being here.
I've got it pointed the right way? Yes, I do. I can hear myself. Okay, you talk about ambulance service. I served on the original board that established the ambulance authority. Have a lot of history in ambulance service. I'm a retired paramedic or RN. Been in this department for over 55 years. But point being, time factors for some of the responses to the ambulance calls is critical. And unless the agency has the necessary staffing to do that, it can make a big difference in the response to a patient. In my case, my wife had 2 ambulance calls. One of the ambulances came from Sharpsburg, the other ambulance came from Charlestown. If it had been a critical situation, it could have been an entirely different outcome. But that is important that you staff the agency with sufficient people to be able to respond in the right way. And not just from across the county, but within the various districts of the county.
Thank you. What's your name?
Peter Kelly.
Pete Kelly?
Thanks, folks. Other comments, questions? Doesn't have to be about ambulances. Anything on your mind, future of the fire service? Mr. Kelly.
That's all. One more thing.
Yes, sir.
On the fire service side. On the fire service side, even though we have good volunteers, the cost of equipment is going way up. And that's another cost that the fire companies have to accept and be prepared to buy this new priced equipment. The tankers a few years ago might have been 300,000. Now what they're almost $750,000. And this type of thing. So money not only applies to the EMS side, but also to the fire side, and be able to have the necessary equipment to keep things moving. And I think that does it for me now.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
Well, while we're waiting, please, somebody else speak, but while we're waiting, just to follow up on, Commissioner Oliver's remarks. Yes, about a year ago, the association did come to the commission about a levy. But to make sure everyone in this room understands, like I said earlier, about 15 years or more, we've been back and forth. We really wanted a fee. They would not support a fee. And it's been back and forth. So at the last, we decided, okay, well, we'll put a levy together. And I want everyone to know too, that the association, all volunteers, we put both the fee and the levy package together ourselves. We went to the commission to present all this. This was all done on volunteer time through all 7 departments. So that's why the last year we went back, yes. They said they would support a levy, so we went back with our package for the levy. That's when they said, no, let's do this study. And for some of you in here may or may not know, this is the only organization in the county that opposed that study. Because it's again, another 30,000 plus or minus dollars wasted. I've been through 3 of these. One of them, I can't remember, years ago, I called back in Jim Surkamp days, but he was on Delta Group. And I don't know what that was, probably $30,000, I guess, or I'm not sure what the figure was, but again, the association put a plan together. It was on like 3 sheets of 8.5 by 11 notebook paper. The county hired the Delta Group. They came back with a plan with probably about 12 pages in a nice little notebook, color pages with coloring wheels and the whole 9 yards, and it said the same damn thing that we did. And that's a fact, folks. That is true. So there was $30-some thousand down the drain. The pitch study, that was done again, opposition. That was another 30,000 because we're nowhere near the plan that they suggested. And originally they said, oh, we can run this whole county off 4 ambulances. But the current plan that they use now is nowhere near what the pitch study group. In fact, that was put together by the past director, Bob Berner, and the association together. Combined, we kind of put that one together. So again, you know, it's irrelevant. I mean, it's already done. The pitch is going to do this next study, which is okay. But I have been preaching at the association meetings that I know for a fact that the association, along with the ESA group, can put a very good plan together on both funding and staffing. I know that for a fact. So what I would really love to see is for the county commission to come up with some kind of funding mechanism, whatever it is going to be, a fee, levy, a tax, whatever. Let them provide the fundings. Let us do the logistics of it. Let us do the operations of it and put the plan together. And I promise you, it'll be a good one. It'll be 100% transparent to all the public. So, because quite honestly, you know, I know we come across that way, but the more you keep the county politics out of it, the much better off we're going to be. And I've been a firm believer of that my entire life. No matter if it's a federal, state, county, or local level, they tend to somehow mess it up. That's why this organization has been so successful. It has been because we have very little involvement. The only one we really have to listen to, answer to, is the State Fire Commission. So I just want to clear that up. But yet I would just love for the commission to come up with the funding mechanism, and then us and the ESA to combine, we can come up with a good plan to make it work.
Yeah, I'd like to add a little bit to that. The purpose to do the fit study is whatever fundraising you do here at your community fire hall, that's your money. You can spend it however you want to. But when you go to the local government, and now if you do if the government county commission would vote to do a fire fee or a levy or whatever might come down the pipe, when you're dealing with the government, you're dealing with taxpayers. And we have to be accountable for every dollar that we pull in, if it's a levy or if it's whatever it is. And we're responsible for that. So the main part of doing this study is to make sure we don't over duplicate anything in the county. I think we only have, two, ladder trucks now, or big ladder trucks. And, do we need three or five? I doubt it, kind of doubt it. And we want to make sure that the money, if it is taxpayer money, we just want to make sure it's spent responsibly. I do know the last pitch study, there was a lot of different suggestions in that study. We did go with several of ideas that they had. It might not have been the exact staffing model at the end, but we did. I think, as Ross's point, they did say we could staff the EMS with 4 units on one of their models. And what we do now, we have 6 units during the day and 5 at night. So we did not necessarily go with we didn't go with their Cadillac suggestion, nor did we go with their Pinto suggestion either. We sort of went with something in the middle. So kind of sum that up. Thank you.
Thanks, and, go ahead,
So,
Chief.
so as we're heading through this study and information being given to FITS, some of the things that we all in the fire service know is that volunteerism nationwide is dropping off. Our residential growth in this county is skyrocketing. And in turn, what that's doing is taking our call volume through the roof with lower volunteers. And we don't have the funding to do a career system. So what we need to work towards is a good combination system, baby steps, and look at other areas around us to see what they have done and how we can take that and kind of morph that into what will work best for Jefferson County. When you look at like Loudoun County 25 or 30 years ago, it was almost all volunteer and is bit by bit added and added and added. Of course, they have much better budgets, much better tax base than we have. That's one of the huge problems that we've got in Jefferson County is we are seeing a massive number of residential houses coming in, and those cost more in services than they provide in taxes. Commercial is the polar opposite of that. So that's part of what we're working on, is trying to start building some commercial growth. We're seeing the vast majority of the residential growth coming mostly between Charlestown and Ranson, packing in townhouses and townhouses and townhouses on top of one another. And all of that is creating volume. So I think what we need to look at is how we make a good combination system with volunteers operating, in my opinion, both on fire and EMS, and help build and build and build till we have a good system. And I think that's really the only way to do that. And the big part of that is we've got to work together to do that.
I completely agree with Chief Mood. We have this problem, and I can speak for the commission because we've all said this. We want to see balanced growth in Jefferson County. Right now, we're out of balance. Residential is way too high, commercial's too low, and it's ruining our ability to pay for services. Now, I want to pay Mayor Gatz a compliment, because in Shepherdstown, y'all are not building a ton of high density housing here. When we talk about what's going on in the municipalities, Shepherdstown's not when it comes to high density housing. So 80% of the housing that's coming into Jefferson County is not on county property. We don't even have a vote. I just want to make sure y'all are aware of this dynamic. We're trying to balance it out, even though we can't control this residential boom. We're trying to balance it out by getting more commercial so we can actually pay our taxes. One of the questions that I have is on apparatus. Steve, you brought this up. Do we have sufficient apparatus in this county? I've gotten feedback from the other folks at different town halls. I'd love to ask you all. Do we have the right vehicles? Do we have enough? If you pull everybody together, we've got some experts in the room. I want to hear from everybody here.
Yeah, I'll take it first. Commissioner Mood, to your point, we had a good career system until it was torpedoed, or excuse me, combination system until it was torpedoed, but we'll let that go. Pasha, to your question, yes, we have, strategically located firehouses with the right, mix, we believe, of apparatus. You can't get too heavy, right? We're talking, we have a tanker on order, $833,000, something like that, for a new tanker that'll.
Apparatus is what's iron as much as replacing engine apparatus is the strategy. So shows that the chief medical to Jefferson is fortunate they've established with community that supports us.
Not everyone has the longevity that we have to do that. So I think from a addition, we only have one heavy rescue in this county. Some could see that as an issue that we need to evaluate. We have other apparatus that can fill some of those roles of rescue. But 2 ladder trucks and then with mutual aid from Berkeley County, you have another 2 ladder trucks within, an extra 2 or 3 minutes. So I think it's strategically located. We need the boots on the ground to staff these firehouses. We do not need to invest tax dollars into new firehouses and county-owned fire trucks. We need people.
Thank you. Let me ask this. So I'm not trying to make things uncomfortable or open old wounds, but this is a new commission. So I do want to hear and understand what you mean when you say the combination system was torpedoed. I need to learn this.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look,
Anybody got a soapbox?
let me tell you, we're all laughing. Let me tell you something. 4 new commissioners. Okay.
Yeah. No, I get it. So yeah, this is great. For a long time, in the 60s, 50s and 60s, independent fire company, citizen, Shepherdstown, we started EMS service. Our first ambulance in Shepherdstown cost us $2,500. That was for the ambulance and staffing or training the people, right, Doc? Right, the Homemakers Club of Shepherdstown gave us that money and we bought an ambulance. We ran that ambulance with volunteers. As the state and even national requirements for EMS increased, it became harder. A life of a volunteer, raising a family, going to work every day, still trying to do training, having to fundraise to run our own or raise our own money, and then still run calls. Add on top of that, hundreds and hundreds of hours a year of training. But the volunteers in this county did that. We begged for help. We said, look, we've got the trucks, we've got the supplies, we'll buy the Band-Aids, we'll buy the drugs. We just need the people, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. to run this thing with us. And that's an important point there, with us. And we did that for a long time. Chief Kiger, when he was the EMS chief here, he would, and Chief Pittenger, they would request 24-hour staffing from the county for years. I think Pete was there at the time, right? They'd get those letters and it was a struggle. We finally got that. And so then you had a career paid, county paid provider, EMT or paramedic that would run our ambulances with us. We would provide the driver, they would provide the provider, and it was a team sport going out every time. Now, it didn't always work. We're not naive. I'm not going to mislead you that we always had a volunteer on that unit. But generally speaking, and I have the data to prove it, I can only speak for Shepherdstown, but I have the data to prove that Shepherdstown was an active participant in over 90% of the EMS calls in this area up until 2022, right? So we were still showing up and showing out on just about every call. And that was after we had 2 paid staff members in this firehouse because the system grew, which is awesome. That's what we wanted. That's what we were begging for. We revenue shared with the county the entire time. Now, did we write the county a check? No, but we paid for all of the supplies, all the tires, all the fuel, all the maintenance. We paid for everything that wasn't boots on the ground, right? The county ponied up and paid for paramedics. We paid for everything else. We put our money back into the system. That is revenue sharing. The county had that for a long time. It worked. It worked well. It was a good system. We high-fived each other, whether they were wearing an ESA shirt, whether they were wearing a Shepherdstown shirt. We were all one team. Every day we went out on this call. You as the community would have never known the difference other than the shirt we were wearing of who showed up on that ambulance. Ambulance said Shepherdstown. You might have had 2 ESA. You might have had 1 ESA and 1 Shepherdstown. It worked flawlessly. Then the commission at the time, one of whom is still sitting here, but I won't throw any darts at him, decided this is a cash cow. This is, the volunteers are raking in $5+ million a year. That's a load of crap because we were revenue sharing, right? We were putting it back into the system, but it looked on paper like there was money to be made here. They wanted that. This is just me. You gave me the soapbox, Pasha. So, they
That's why
wanted.
we're here, Marshall. We
That's
want to
right.
hear your opinion.
They wanted the revenue. And so the only way they could get the revenue was to take over the service. So they did that. Fast forward 2 years of arguing with each other and Steve and I, glaring at each other lovingly. They now have the system. They think they have learned that $5 million was deceiving because now not only what they did really was not only by removing the ambulances from us, they took 100% of the cost. Before they were just seeing the staffing costs, they were just, we were still covering a lot more than I think they realized when service agreements on a Life Pack 15 are $29,000 a year, right? They didn't see those things laid out that way. And that's on us partially. We didn't do a good enough job of showing where all the costs were. And I get that in retrospect, but it was a good partnership. And then the rug was pulled out of it, right? And I'm not at all anti-career. I think that is absolutely where Jefferson County is going. 100%. We have to. At some point, we have to. I love the career providers we work with. They are fantastic people and would work with them every day. No issue with that at all. The issue comes down to when you remove the ambulances from the volunteer fire service, you also took volunteers that have been doing this that are equally qualified to career staff and you shelved them. And I've been an EMT for almost 20 years now, thanks Miss Judy. And I don't want to run an ambulance that says Jefferson County EMS or ESA on the side. Why would I, right? The pride that I had was going out and helping my community with a Shepherdstown Fire Department ambulance. You can say that's wrong. That's fine, but that's me, right? That's many people. So what we're dealing with right now, and part of the plunge of volunteerism in this county is we're all still in some ways reeling, and yeah, maybe we need to get over it, but in some ways we're still kind of hurt from that because we loved it and we still love it. And now it's no longer ours to do. So that's what I mean by torpedo it. We had a good thing going. We had a good revenue sharing process that worked for this county, and some political greed got in the way, and now you're where you are, right? Where first one to call 911, you are in good shape in Shepherdstown. You're in better shape now if you were the first person to call 911 than you were 4 years ago, no question. If you were the second one to call 911, I feel for you.
Okay, thank you. Chief Morgan, please. go
I'm
ahead.
just gonna add on to that. One thing is, it's an irrelevant comment question now, but stop and think about, I know you four are new, but where would we be today if COVID never existed? Because the only way this ever came about, when COVID existed, and then you got ARPA money, free money, which I don't believe anything in the world this day is free, so it's gonna bite somebody in the rear end one day. I don't know when, but it's gonna bite. But that's the only way the county could do it. So if COVID never existed, I just wonder where we would be.
Because the ARPA funds were used to buy the ambulances, right? That's what you're saying?
Yes, ARPA,
Exactly.
yeah.
I hear you.
Exactly, and so if ARPA never was there, we would still be going a combination type system as Captain America has said. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
I appreciate that. Who's seen Jerry Maguire? I did not. Can I make, all right, I'll give the floor to you just a second, but have you guys seen Jerry Maguire, 1996, great movie? there's a great line in that movie. Says, I was not gonna say show me the money. I got a different line. No, there's a great line in the movie where Cuba Gooding Jr. says, see, you think we're fighting, I think we're finally talking. That's how I feel right now.
I'm with
Now we're talking. Now we're talking about the issue.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And I'm gonna get into it just a second. Commissioner
I
Sullivan.
appreciate that. And Marshall, my statement still stands. I will get a magnet and put on the door and put your name on any ambulance you want. So I still stand behind that and I'll pay for it.
Let's not make this about our relationship. Let's keep it focused.
So, what Shepherdstown does here, y'all do it very well. You have a tremendous amount of supporters. And I can tell you, you'll have a long history with your fire company. And you are one of the strongest fire, departments in the county. We can't say that for all of them. You know, they're struggling on volunteer, fundraising. So when the county did, decided to do the transition with the ambulances, we had to look at the county as a whole. Now, Shepherdstown, you all do things very well. I can tell you, Denny Barron sitting here, he knows where every penny that ever came into this fire hall, where it is and where it went to. So, y'all do a great job. And, but when we made that decision, we were looking at the whole county.
Let me build on that. So I was saying, you know, I made that joke earlier. You think we're fighting now, I think we're finally talking. So let's mix it up a little bit. All right. So from one perspective, it's county greed. Okay. What about the other perspective? The other perspective is, well, accountability for taxpayer dollars. Okay. When you go out and you tell the public, this is what we're spending money on. Some people say, I need to be very accountable about every single dollar. And those are two different perspectives. Okay. So where the rub is, if we're going to engage in this collaboration in this project, now you've got the government looking at all the dollars you're spending and watching where it goes, and you lose some of that independence. We haven't started it yet. I'm just saying in a hypothetical.
Well, but it is. But we have state funds we have to account for by every cent. We have federal grant money that we pump into this county that we have to account for by every cent. So that is not new to us. And when the ESA was aboard, we had to represent a budget and we still had to provide all of our documentation, 1099s, all those things to them every year. So we are not afraid of accountability. I don't want anybody in this room to hear that. And I know that's not what you're saying. I'm just saying, I don't want you to hear like we were worried about accountability, because we were not. We were already doing that and we are doing that.
It kind of was what I'm saying, so I'm glad you answered the question. We've got a hand up too. Let me go to this speaker, and then I had another point along the same line. Sir.
My name is Denny Bear, and I'm the treasurer of Shepherdstown, an administrative volunteer. You talk about accountability. I've been treasurer for 35 years here, and never once, not once, has the county asked how we spend our county money. We're very, very willing to tell you how we spend our county money, but not once have they. And then also, one more thing is, my opinion is that the county is, as administrative volunteer, you're making it tougher for administrative volunteer, because now the county is not only the fire departments, but the other libraries, and want to pay our bills for us out of the county money, where we can pay the bills and then we submit them to you, then you reimburse us. It's so much easier if we could do it like we do for the state, and just provide how we spend the money or send copies of our statements. It's just, I have a saying, just one more thing, but there's one more things just continues to add up and make our job harder. Thank you.
And Denny, the reason we never asked you about your books, because we know you're in charge of, and they're in good shape. And if David Bound, would you want to talk a little bit about the state auditor and what they're requiring us to do? David is our CFO, by the way, and he could lead on to probably some of that. He would need the microphone.
Hey, bye, Dave. You have to introduce yourself.
Oh, you want us to introduce yourself? Oh.
Mike Stein, Chief of the Emergency Services Agency.
Steve Stoliver, County Commissioner.
Hi, I'm Pasha. I'm on the county commission.
I'm Kara Keys. I'm a county commissioner and I represent Shepherdstown.
Jack Jefferson State County Commission,
Mike Mood, County Commission.
Chief Morgan, Shepherdstown Fire Department.
Captain Marshall Demerit, Shepherdstown Fire Department.
To our right, we have Eddie Benitez. She's our county administrator. To my back right, we have Tara Van. She's the 911 coordinator. David Bound in the green shirt. He's our CFO for the county. Did I miss anybody else? All right. All right, David, David Bound, you go ahead, sir. We'll let David talk about the auditor's office. Yeah, if you want to talk about the auditor's office and what they are requiring us to do, kind of maybe
Sure.
help answer Denny's question.
Sure, I started in December and the first thing was the meeting over in Morgantown. When we met with the state auditors, they had a little training. And a lot of them and were there as well. And what they required are reimbursements now. And the reason for that is for not for our county departments, but for other entities like volunteer fire, like you mentioned, the library. And the reason for that is the gentleman and Ms. Keys up there, they're personally liable for those funds that the constituents supply to the county. Yeah, so we're just, like you said, you guys spend the money, send me a receipt, and I'll reimburse it. So we're trying to keep it, oh, sure, yeah.
About day report.
I wasn't gonna go there, but I'll go there. We did have an entity that we, as you noticed, quarterly, we would send the money to all the volunteer fires, to libraries, through our day report, Jefferson County. We currently do not have a day report in Jefferson County now, due to them taking our funds, pretty much all our funds in this room that we paid our taxes on, and they decided to open up their own. I'm not sure if it's successful or not. We just stopped and started using Berkeley, so now we have to pay someone else for that purpose.
For 35 years, they have never had with a county building.
Right. And we know because we see those 990s that you guys provide to us and we require those. Yeah, we received those and just to show that you guys were nonprofits and proof and things of that nature. And then we were, happy to put a quarterly check. So.
And what David's trying to get to is with that organization, we asked for them to give us everything so that we can get reimbursement from the state because it was a pass-through grant that we were receiving. They couldn't provide receipts for $22,000. So even the best intended organizations, if we front the money first and then need some kind of receipt later on, does it happen? Not necessarily. So instead, what the auditor says is that either we pay the bill directly, which can be an option. You can work with David where you give him the bill and we will pay it directly, or you pay it and then it's reimbursed. And that way, every taxpayer dollar is accounted for dollar for dollar, penny for penny, even for the best organizations, because it's really important that there is that transparency.
And you may do that, but the state doesn't do that. The state sends us the money quarterly. You haven't talked to them. Yeah, this is.
My point is, I understand auditing and the controls, but the state does not do that. They send the money, quarterly, and then we send them a yearly report or for years of how the money's been spent. Now we send them copies of our bank statements, right? That has to have the images on them. Now, this is the first year they're requiring the 990s to be filed also, so.
But I don't think any of us have any issue with the county's approach to reimbursement or paying directly. I mean,
Well, my point was, it's one more thing. There's one more thing that's pushed on the, position.
Let me just add to that. The more you work with the county, we're, well, I guess as long as the five of us are here, we're always gonna listen to what the state auditor says is required of us. So if in 2032, they say add a new requirement, it's gonna be another thing. In 2036, it could be another thing. And it adds up. So I am giving a word of warning. When you work with the government, sometimes it can be a pain.
that's what Chief Morgan was saying about government getting in the way.
Yeah.
And just help you out, I'd be happy to run over here and grab copies. And I know that's, like, right now we have an intake form and things like that. And for two other firehouses, I've drove down to Harper's Ferry and grabbed the copies there, because it's a new, like you said, one more thing. I had to learn a Google intake form. So, one more thing for me, and but I'm, a learner.
Okay, I wanted to make sure everybody was done up there. I've got a few things. Tuesday or Monday night, sorry, it was mentioned about the SAFER grant. What would the county's commissioners' plans be for approving a SAFER grant if it was written by the association, for an example, for personnel? Because you all would have to eat the cost after 3 years, I believe, 4 years. 100%. That would be
That's a
question
tough one.
Well,
Yeah, that's
I'll
a
do
tough one for us
question,
to
then
answer
you
here.
Then we'll do another.
Because we would have to, deliberate and make a decision, which is a little bit tricky because it's not a meeting of the town, of the county commission right now, it's a town hall. So I can't say we as commissioners believe X, but I guess we can try off the cuff to answer the question, but it would not be representing what the commission.
I think the one thing that everybody forgets about the SAFER is you're gonna need to have a revenue source, at least one you're in the process of creating. When you apply for that grant, if you apply for the grant, you get the grant and you don't have a revenue stream coming in, you can't hire the firefighters, you gotta turn the grant down. Then you can't apply again for another 5 years, and you'll be lucky to get it then because you've turned it down once. SAFER, we've talked about this on just about every time there for about a year. It's great. That's how Berkeley has expanded their system. But hopefully through this fire study, we can develop a revenue stream for the volunteer companies, for the ESA to hire people. And if that comes through a SAFER, then that's awesome. But yeah, we've got to get this funding source at least started moving forward so that when we get, if we're lucky enough to get awarded a grant, we can pay for the people.
And we're gonna see what this study says. It might say you need dedicated fire. Or it might just say you need, I don't know, 2 more shifts of fire and EMS like we do now, combination. Obviously I'm for the SAFER grant. I would want to see what the study says first, what recommendation they say we should go, but I would vote for a SAFER.
All right, so it also got mentioned about a tax for a levy or a fee or a levy. What about doing 1% sales tax throughout the whole county? Then all of your people visiting that is in the park service and everywhere else in the schools that are non-tax, they're paying for it too.
Yeah, right now, and we just met with the governor a little bit ago. Right now, that's something would have to be ran through the governor's office or legislature, excuse me. And the governor doesn't appear to support that. So I would say the sales tax is probably DOA, in my opinion. But if something changes that legislation, we'll certainly see. There's some people want to try to run it again this year, I'm sure.
Just to explain a little bit more, and I'll give the floor back to you, sir. We are only empowered as a local government. We are only empowered to do what the legislature tells us we can do. If they don't say you can do it, we can't do it. So for the 1% sales tax that you're proposing, they have not said that we are allowed to do that. Until they pass a law saying we're allowed to do that, we can't do it. So Berkeley County has asked the legislature a few years in a row now, please give us that power. That has not happened yet, and that's what's the.
But what Berkeley County did do was they put on a referendum a fire fee last year, which I think imposed a staggered $35 to $65 fee, which goes directly to their firefighter or their fire board, which then is decided on how those funds are dispersed between their 5 stations. So I think that was, the sales tax was an avenue they were looking into, but they also had other avenues they moved forward on. And they're, I think, adding a third with the SAFER grant they're adding a third full-time 24/7 to their shift. So within the next probably 5 months, they'll have that in Berkeley County.
And can I recognize John Doyle in the audience? You served in the legislature for 20 years. You want to comment on that? Delegate emeritus. Go ahead.
Actually, Mr. President, I served for 26 years, not consecutively in 3 different periods of segments of time over a 40-year stretch. You, Mr. President, are absolutely correct. There's no way the county could do anything in regard to taxation that the legislature doesn't give you permission to do. And in some cases, the legislature would have to pass a constitutional amendment in order to give the county permission to do certain kinds of taxes. That is not the case with the sales tax. The legislature could act and say counties may have a 1% sales tax. They could either say it's all over the county, meaning also within municipalities, in which case the extra 1% would be in addition to the extra 1% the municipalities have. I doubt the legislature would do that. Most likely they would say you can have this tax applied in the unincorporated areas of the county, or if you have a case where a municipality did not have the 1% add-on, it might be able to apply there. That's all up to the legislature. And my guess is they would insist that it be adopted by a referendum countywide. That is the latest proposal that I saw down there, is that if we give the county permission to do it, the county would have to run a referendum and get a vote of the people to say, yes, it's okay to apply this 1% sales tax in areas of the county that the outside municipalities were, or wherever the law said you could do it. I would suggest one thing to the fire service. I do think that at some point in the near future, the legislature will act on this and allow counties to have this 1% add-on. Many in the fire service, and I have not talked to people here about this, but many in the fire service around the state want this to be dedicated to the fire service. I would strongly urge against that, because if that went on the ballot, you would immediately have other entities in the county like Parks and Rec and libraries and all other kinds of things that people want, saying, hey, don't pass this because we can't be part of it. If you would pass it, this would create significant additional revenue at the disposal of the county commission. And I think you would be in an excellent position to compete successfully for a large portion of it. But I think you've got a better chance of passing the referendum if it doesn't specify it goes only here. That is just my opinion. I've been wrong before, but Mr. President, you wanted me to talk and I talked.
That is extremely valuable political advice offered for free from Mr. Doyle.
The municipalities have something now, right? And Mr. Mayor, I'm going to kind of loop you into this. So the municipalities have something now they can do. Is that, and has the commission talked to them about that?
It's home rule.
Martinsburg, don't they pay for their own fire service though? So they impose that, but that's because they pay for it. The town of Shepherdstown, I don't believe pays for fire service. Correct?
They do not.
Yes, but it's not part of your operational, correct?
Let's talk about that.
They get any more, right?
Yeah, we could send you a bill, Mayor.
For what?
I was just explaining the context of Martinsburg.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to send you a bill right now.
Well, just remind, I know I hear Berkeley County a lot. I know in the past meetings, they was comparing other county to other county, but don't forget in Berkeley County, up until this past July, their fire fee service, their fire department. They put they bought apparatus with them, they put the fuel in the gas tank, the air in the tire, the whole 9 yards, pay workers' comp, insurance, everything. The Ambulance Authority had their own fee for the ambulance, but the Berkeley Fire, the actual fireman who runs the fire, that was paid out of Brooklyn County's general budget. So I know in the past 6 meetings, it kind of misconceiving to me. That's how Berkeley does it. Now, up until this past July, and I can't explain exactly what it is, but they're paying the fire fees only is going to pick up half of what they just got in July, these last 12. But in turn, the county is going to not reimburse, but do some better things for them. But my point is that the Berkeley County fire fee is help keep doors open for the volunteers, but their firefighter gets paid out of their general budget. So I don't want anybody to think that if we can start a fee, it's going to take care of both, because it's not. And the other thing too, just keep in mind, a lot of good things have been coming out of these meetings, and been hearing a lot of good things and whatnot. But the one thing I've been hearing is the same sound that I've been hearing for 20 years. That's that poor old can getting kicked down the road. And it's continuing to get kicked down the road, because just for instance, if we decide tonight to implement whatever, you're looking at least 2 years to get the nest egg built up. And I know the big question was, what are we thinking might be in 20 years? Well, I'm going to echo Chief Watson, because I saw him tonight. His concern, I'm not too much concerned about 20 years. I'm more concerned about next week and next year. And so, don't forget, if we enact something tonight, you're looking at least 2 years before anybody can do anything. So
Chief Morgan, we have to start somewhere, right?
we do.
Have you ever had a commission come to every fire station?
No, these are the first town halls, and we do
Okay,
appreciate
so
that.
the glass
Yes.
is half full and we're moving forward, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm just trying to remind you.
A little gentle nudge.
I do have 2 questions. One, we're talking about a fire fee or fire levy, talking about a 1% sales tax that we can't put on the ballot. But if something like that was on the ballot, whether it was a fire fee, a fire levy, or 1% sales tax to support your emergency services, how would you all vote if I did a raise of hands? Who would support that? And I know you're going to say, well, I don't know how much it is. I don't know how much it would be either. But who would support a fire levy or fire fee? Okay, I wish I asked this question at every town hall. I only asked that 2, maybe. I think 2 or 3. So, but thank you for that. Thank you for that. And Chief Morgan, you brought up Berkeley County. Excuse me. What county should we be looking to that's very similar to our needs here? So we've asked that question a lot in a lot of the town halls. Is it Berkeley County? Somebody had mentioned Frederick County, Virginia would be the closest model. Can you or Marshall elaborate on that? Who should we be looking at for as a model citizen or?
Well, I think all of the counties around us have done certain things really well, right? Washington County did an ambulance transition to career staff really well, where they gave the option to volunteers to opt out, and then the county took over, which water under the bridge should have been how it was done here. Loudon they are like way ahead of us, right? And everybody likes to refer to them because they're so far ahead of us, because they're kind of like that shining light on the hill. They have a phenomenal organization down there. And I even refer to them sometimes, and I say like, we're where they were 30 years ago, right? And so it is a nice model to see, because we have the expertise in-house that, 1, lived that 30 years, but 2, we've been able to watch it. Clark is a very similar entity to where we are right now, right? They just put career fire staff in volunteer firehouses to run fire trucks. Frederick County, Virginia is a little bit ahead of Clark, I think, and way ahead of Jefferson. So we have a lot of examples around us, and this is going to go back a little bit to the anti-$30,000 wasted on reports, but I'm going to stay positive. We have examples that we can watch, which is why we don't need to spend $30,000 on a report that's going to say what I just said.
Okay, so Marshall, I'm gonna push back on that. So, yeah, with the government, we often have to investigate things where we know what the answer is.
Yep.
To show the public that we did our homework.
I don't disagree at
And
all.
that can be perceived as wasteful from the private, I'm calling you private sector for now.
Yep.
Because non-government. Because it's, hey, the answer is, why are you wasting time? Government is slow.
I understand. You also have a citizenry that has career fire service, that has years and years. I mean, the gentleman that wrote one of the first Fire One books is sitting right in this room. Like, you have locals that could have provided the exact same input, which is kind of what my point from a fiscal conservative position is.
There's another factor. So who made the motion for the study? You remember?
Probably Steve. He likes spending money.
Dr. James Cook. He's not sitting here. He was only here for a few months.
Yeah.
Why was he only here for a few months? Because in politics, we have something called elections and a little bit of volatility every now and then. That's a euphemism in this case. But, sometimes you have somebody sitting in a seat for 6 months and they're gone. I'll tell you
Understood.
why I voted for the study, because Dr. Cook showed up and he said, I've been here for 6 weeks. You want me to vote on this? I don't have any background. Can I get at least a study? And I saw somebody in the audience chuckling like, another study. Can I say that? Mike was in the audience chuckling like, another study. And I'm like, oh God, do we have to do this? But I said, all right, let's do a study. I mean, it's kind of rough to put poor guy on to make a vote on something that's gonna be extremely expensive with no background. And he's been there for like 3 meetings, right? That happens in politics. And there'll be an election next year. Maybe there's 2 new commissioners. Maybe it's the same ones. We don't know. There's turnover. Right.
You have a requirement from your constituents to be educated and transparent with them. You don't have a requirement from your constituents to spend $40,000 on what the professionals in this room can tell you.
There you go. Well, I did vote for it, so I'm sticking by my vote, and I'll tell you, I just felt that if a colleague of mine, well, let me put it another way. Probably gonna vote no on the proposal if he didn't have the study, right? So at least that's a different way of looking at it, right? I don't speak for him. I'm just saying when somebody he says, I've been here for 3 meetings.
We met with James a few times. He was coming around.
Oh, there you go. You might know better than I do. Right. If you don't know James Cook, great guy.
Yes, he was a very smart guy, and I've heard from a few of the fire meetings we've had about past studies. I just for the record, I'm 1-0. I've been involved with one study and we enacted it, so I want to do the
That's
same
a
thing.
stretch, Steve. We didn't actually enact it, but okay.
I want to make sure everybody gets a chance. Do you want to ask a question? The gentle lady right here, can we hand her a microphone? Oh.
Yeah.
Ma'am, can we allow the gentleman to ask his last point and then we'll hand it to you? Is that all right? Thank you. Please, sir.
So this one, I
Yes, sir.
guess, goes to Chief Son on what his immediate or somewhat immediate plan would be for staffing once the money comes through for staff.
Well, it would be based on statistics. It depends on the money, the amount of money. There are so many variables. I wouldn't even begin to throw an idea at you, because as soon as I tell you I would put them at station X, station Y gets their panties in an uproar because I just made a statement and guaranteed them staffing. So I really would need a general idea of what kind of money we were talking about to develop how many people we could employ, and then look at the locations, the times, to spread that out. Like, I would love to have people in every station right now, because really it's not that far of a stretch. 3 more stations, it's 24 more people sticking to the 2472, which people tried to push the 2448s and all that. They don't crunch the numbers. Stations, counties are going away from that alternative schedule, that 3-shift schedule, because of mental health and other reasons, and it costs more money. Employees are working a 56-hour or more work week. We work a 42. So if you're going to attempt to switch the schedule, you might as well just take the money that you're going to dump into overtime and just hire more people and stick to the better schedule, because that's the only recruitment tool we have at this moment. So,
Mike, can you commit, though, that whatever staffing you do get out of this would be put in volunteer firehouses?
yeah,
Okay.
everybody's concerned about Carneysville.
Oh, gotcha. I didn't know.
For those that don't know, Carneysville is on my plan for future EMS. Carneysville is a problem. There are lots of problem areas in the county. You can't have an ambulance 2 minutes from everybody. Regardless, our geography is what it is. The river dissects part of our county with a long slim chunk, which is Blue Ridge Mountain. That's a difficult area to cover. You know, we're doing what I feel is the best we can with the amount of staff that we have, the number of units that we employ. Our gentleman from Shepherdstown here mentioned that, you know, you're gonna wait for a second due ambulance in Shepherdstown. I've made attempts to remedy that within my control during the day. One of my units, as soon as this station is dispatched, a unit will move from Charlestown to Carneysville to what we call KVP, Carneysville Post. If you've ever got off of Route 9 there at Leetown Road and saw the ambulance parked at the bike path and wondered why they're sitting there, that's what they're doing. They're halfway between Charlestown and Shepherdstown in case there is a second due call, so that they're at least saving 10 minutes. They're getting halfway here. Frequently, there are calls in the Fox Glen area, so they catch it right from there. It's proven that it's made a huge difference. In the future, there are additional areas in this county that will need fire stations. We won't always stay with 7 fire stations. That's just one of the reasons that why that's in my plan. You know, the county has dedicated, the sheriff has needed a new facility for years and years. So we've talked about the reason Carneysville came up was a joint center in Carneysville, because if you're going to build one building, you might as well build a bigger one. I need to move my training center out of my office. What we do, we don't have like a burn building or such, but the activities we do within our building is too small at this point. It's the main hub for all of my supplies. I have limited number of admin personnel, which is good at the moment because I don't have the space for them. So diverging the training to a new facility that's already going to be built that we could share with the sheriff. The sheriff could use that training center also, that training space, internal training space. So that's why Carneysville has been a topic. Shepherdstown, I'm sure Ross would agree, as Carneysville's been talked about in the past, as a substation for Shepherdstown over the years. Never came to fruition. So it's just one of those things, you know, eventually staffing will go back on the mountain, staffing will go in Bakerton. I feel Bakerton Station at some point needs to be moved out onto Route 230. I've looked at the numbers, the response times to make it work for the area out there to cover the backside, that side of Shepherdstown, the east side, and to cover Engle Mollers, Bakerton. It needs to be on a more accessible road. So there are changes in the future that need to be done. I'm really just looking forward. You know, I'm not always looking at today or tomorrow. I'll tell a lot of people, I think I've told Steve before, or Commissioner Stollifer here, like, I'm playing chess, where a lot of people are playing checkers. They're looking at the next move. I'm also trying to look at 5-10 years down the road and plan for that. We really need funding. And that's been at every town hall meeting. We've talked about that. I know I came up through this system. This is 36 years for me. I started out in high school as a volunteer, worked my way up, finally got on with the county as a career provider, and have been lucky enough to become the chief. It was through the EMS transition time, which was rough. But we all need money. The volunteers are struggling to keep help. They're struggling to pay their bills. If they don't have to worry about the bills so much, that's a big lift on these guys. For me, it's the only way I get more staff. And the volunteer stations need my staff. And I'm glad to give it to them. I'd hire 100 people today if I could. But we've got to get there. So that's why that's one of the reasons, you know, they came forward with a levy, they came forward with a fee. There are different structures. There are pros and cons to these. A fee is a flat, like you pay your EMS fee, which I will say is ridiculously low. That's part of the problem why I don't have enough staffing. A fire fee would be the same way, wherever they set it, it's a flat fee. A levy, you pay based on the value of your property. So Mrs. Smith, who has $1 million home, pays more than Mr. Jones, who has a $200,000 home. I find that to be more fair because it takes more fire trucks, more people to protect that if it catches on fire. Downside to a levy, you've got to renew it every 5 years. You take a chance on the public, something happening that they don't like what happened in the last 5 years, they voted down. Well, then what do we do with the employees? And how do the volunteers keep paying their bill? So that's a struggle, because I think that's part of this whole dynamic of what we're looking at is really how much money do we need? What are we gonna do with it? How much do the volunteers need? How much do we need for staffing? Where can we put them? It's really a huge ball that we're trying to unravel here and make the best decision because everyone's gonna pay for it. I mean, I live in the county, I'm gonna pay for it too. I live in Kearney, so that's not why I want to station there, but you know, I'm far from everybody. So we all have needs and wants, and I'm just trying to make the county move forward. Hopefully we get something positive out of this for everybody, because we need to work together. I can't do it by myself. I'm not trying to make a career-only system here, and I think we've come down that road over the last 20 years, 25 years, I think, Pete, right, since we started the ambulance authority. So we've worked toward a combination system. It works, and we need to just keep moving forward. So.
Waiting a second row, I had a.
And to Chief Sign's comments, and we were talking about different counties and we brought up Loudoun County. Chief Sign does a great job with the budget that we're in. Our budget is $40 million a year. Loudoun County is $4 billion. So it's a big difference. Billion, yeah, there is a billion. So we you know, why does people want to live in West Virginia? Because we pay lower taxes. You don't pay a lot of taxes here, but when it comes time to as a growing county like we and Berkeley and Morgan County, we got to stretch every dollar to make it work here. And I know Chief Sign does a good job.
Madam?
I just wanted to thank you all for coming and giving those of us who don't know very much about this, except what we read in the newspapers.
If you can hold it to your mouth.
Give those of us who don't know very much about this, information that is other than what we read in the newspapers. I wondered what percentage of people who work like at Shepherdstown are volunteers versus paid? And then I have a follow-up question.
Sure. So stationed in Shepherdstown, the ESA provides 2 personnel 24 hours a day. Everyone else that responds is a volunteer.
Wow. That's kind of amazing, actually, that you can, that amazes me that you can run this department that I'm proud to live in, you know, with only 2 paid people. The second question is, if you're so dependent upon volunteers, where are we going to get the volunteers? I look at the people who are here tonight and we're old mostly, not everybody. And,
Experience.
yeah, the people, are young people volunteering? Is that something that is, are you trying to recruit younger people and who are interested in this kind of volunteer work? How? And what's happening around that? Because
Yeah, we are in all departments in the county are trying their very best to come up with different ideas to recruit younger people. But I guess in today's society, it's just very difficult. In fact, 21 years ago, we invested money into what we call a living program. We have 5 rooms upstairs, kitchen, where someone could live here for free with the intern who helped run calls. And the whole conception of that 20 years ago was the Shepherd College or university. We could try to strive on that. But ironically, over the past 20 years, I bet we've only had 6 college students. The rest of them have been other younger, middle-aged people who have careers, but the college part, you would thought would be a big place to pull from, but
it hasn't worked out. That was my third part of the question. What about Shepherd students? And,
right. And don't get me wrong, we have gotten a lot of good students, but not the ones we expected to live here for free when they don't have to pay for a dorm. But we have a lot of good students that came from Shepherd, but it's just a very difficult time for younger people.
Well, it's always been a difficult time for younger people. Sometimes I think we say that kind of thing too much and forget that we need to expect things of younger people too. and that it's good for them to take on this kind of learning experience. So I just wondered if, I was gonna mention Shepherd and wondering if you had done.
Oh,
any
yeah,
recruiting.
and we work very well with Shepherd. We've always had worked good with Shepherd. In
Well,
fact,
Heidi is your sister, right?
yeah.
Yeah, good, okay. Thanks very much.
Oh, you're
Again,
welcome.
to everybody.
I think it would be helpful, Chief Morgan, if you could explain to the public to how much training it needs or a volunteer needs before they can jump on their first fire call. We've had I think it'd be very helpful for this crowd.
Well, now you really make me think, because I can remember how many hours a firefighter one is, like 120 hours for the firefighter one. Then you have to have all your other classes NIMS and first aid and CPR and all that, but you're looking at a minimum 120 hours to get the certificate. And then you have to have so many more hours in order till you get the on-the-job training, so to speak, and they learn it as you go. So it's very different. And of course, EMS is a lot more than that. It's 200-300.
Yeah.
For EMS. So it's very difficult to do that.
And compared to 20 years ago.
I think
it's not a
back
big-
when I was out, how was it, Mike? 40 hours, 60 hours?
1957, when I took firefighter one, it was 24 hours.
Section one.
Whole thing.
Oh.
We didn't have section one.
Okay.
What that consisted of is we go out here and we go to a cabinet and we open the door on the cabinet and we learn to use whatever was in that cabinet and then we close it and we go over to the next cabinet. Once we got all the way around, we were certified firefighters. We weren't certified, we went through certification back then. Now it's 140, when you add in all the other stuff.
Right.
You missed a couple of things, they have to take a hazardous materials class, I think that's, 12 hours or so now, they just play around with that some. Well, I'm not sure if we're doing the rescue classes or not, but there's a rescue class, there's all that is state mandated training. And then
Yes, sir.
all that, we have to take them and get them oriented to our stuff. So they can use what we have. And so it takes a while.
Yeah, you're probably looking at a minimum of 200 hours. Because the firefighter one, 140 hours, like that's just the firefighter one. That doesn't get you in behind the driver's seat. That's not a whole class. And you got your specialty class, like the rescue type classes, the rope rescue classes, the hazmat. It is a lot.
Well, and that's to the point. I mean, volunteerism is dropping everywhere. And the volunteer at a fire station, you have a lot of hours to put in. If you go to the county fair and want to volunteer at the Ruatan booth, they'll get you flipping burgers in about an hour. So there's a big difference. And not to pick on the Ruatan, but I think I was talking to somebody this year. They have 5 people in their club right now.
Hey, our Rotary Club has 113 members, so we're growing.
Kara's a good recruiter, by the way.
I'm membership chair. So, and sir, we've been keeping you waiting, and I have to say, I recognize you from the Wellness Center. So you'll see me again, so be nice.
3 quick items. This is just basically my opinion, but I'm in favor of a fee and not a levy for the very reason that it could very well expire in a few years and then you're in a hole.
Question first, fire fee or ambulance fee?
Both.
Both.
Yeah, we pay $20. Ridiculous. We used to pay 40 and they lowered it to 20. We've talked to people in other counties that pay 150. Secondly, impact fees need to be sufficient to cover the cost of the new construction all the time. Last and thirdly, listen to these men. They've done this. They've lived this. They know what they're doing. Fourth item, and this is where I'll shut up. Not to beat a dead horse, but the county taking over the ambulance service is a sore spot with me. I had a heart attack March 6th, 2023, 6 days into the county taking it over. Judy called 911. 6 men from this department, volunteer men, showed up at my house in 4.5 minutes. I am alive today because they showed up. I was in cardiac arrest. This fire company had 2 ambulances until the county took it over. They staffed one, they left the other one. One was out on a call when Judy put mine, called 911. The other one sat here. It couldn't be used because the county didn't own it, didn't staff it. But the 6 men were volunteers, kept me alive, started my heart, kept me alive until the ambulance showed up from Citizens. Or I think it was Citizens like 12, 15 minutes later. If I'd have had to wait on that ambulance, I'd have been a dead man.
Not that a difference, 4.5 minutes. The doctors at the hospital could not believe that, because I mean, I was starting to do CPR, because I'd had CPR classes a few times, and the 911 system was wonderful to do. But, you know, it was the difference between somebody being there that knew what they were doing in 4.5 minutes and the ambulance coming in 12 minutes. That is, it's not only saved his life, it, you know, he can enjoy his granddaughter and do all kinds of woodworking and whatever with, if we'd had to wait for that 12 minutes, even if we'd been alive. I mean, I don't know, I don't even think about okay. One of those things when you get awake at night.
Well, thank you. Sir, what is your name?
Roy.
Roy.
Roy Matley. I'm a volunteer fundraiser here and a member.
Oh, thank you. Okay, well, Roy, if you don't mind, I have a, one of your, points I wanted to, give you some information on. We voted, late December, early January on our impact fees. They were historically over the past few years, just under 2,000 per single family dwelling when you draw a permit for a new house. So that's growth paying for growth. When we, this commission was elected, within a month of us starting, we enacted the study that was done at its 100% capacity, which recommended about 9,500 per single family dwelling. So we substantially increased that, but not only on the residential side, we had the commercial side as well. And that's taken per square foot, per hotel bed, there's different categories, but we did increase our impact fee. So I hope that at least there's one good thing from your comments.
Well, I would say if the study said the impact fee should be $9,500, then the impact fee should be $9,500.
And we adopted it. So yes.
The full 9,500?
Full 9,500. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And it was a unanimously supported, so.
Yeah, and at some of the past meetings, fire hall meetings, there's been some misconception about the impact fees. Just to be clear, they're not for replacing ambulances or anything in the county. So if there's a replacement, we cannot use impact fee money for it. So if we currently have 12 ambulances and we're going to add a 13, then we can use that money to pay for the 13th ambulance. Same way at the sheriff's department. If they have 33 cars and they need to replace 5 of them, it can't be used for that. If they have 33 cars, they need 5 more to get the, whatever, then it could be used.
I assume an impact fee is used for the new roads, the new sewers, the new.
No, sir.
What's an impact fee used?
It's for emergency services, parks and rec.
Cool.
School gets the lion's share of.
Yeah, they get about 6,700 of that 9,500. What the school fee from the impact fee study, they are using it as a replacement or a sinking fund for a third high school. So the study that was performed late last fall came out with, we're at overcapacity for both of our high schools. All of our middle schools and elementary schools are technically not over capacity, and there actually hasn't been an increase in those quadrants, but in high school there has been. So that impact fee will go towards the third high school at some point.
And the reason it went down for a few years is because we had a declining enrollment in our school system. We had roughly I can't remember the exact number, 800 to 900 less students in our school system. This year is the first year in, I believe, 7 years that there was an increase. I think they increased about 132 kids.
And when we voted to fund the study, Marshall said, "Great job. I love studies." Right?
No.
Sir, you have it.
Yeah, I live in Jefferstown. I live in Crest Creek, and I do hear the fire siren going off. And maybe 2 minutes later, I hear a fire truck leaving. And I know in that fire truck, there's expertise that's going to help. I trained as an EMT in New Jersey when we lived there. And I realized very quickly there's a difference between the book training for EMTs and the reality of going out there and dealing with car wreck or a heart attack, which I never did. But because I left New Jersey right about the end of my training. But I do remember my very last call, and I went with someone. I was never by myself. That would have been a tragedy for the patient. I got to the house, and there was a lady lying at the bottom of the stairs, and I said to my colleague, "What do you think happened here?" And she said, "She's probably broken her neck." And I realized then that I need a lot, if I'd stayed, I'd need a lot more practical experience. The thing that scares me today in Jefferson County is, for example, yesterday, Jack and I were at a local emergency planning committee meeting, and I drove over to the hospice, and there's a whole bunch of what I'd consider very ugly buildings being put up there, residential building. Obviously, they're horrible for a lot of people. But I also noticed just before I got there, that before I turned in, another stretch of land has been swept away, opened up, and there's going to be more construction going on there. So my question to you is, as a group, is what's your ultimate goal here? What do you hope to accomplish? A year from now, how are you going to deal with the politics of the firefighters versus the politics of the local citizens who may or may not be in favor of any increase in taxes? For example, is it FITCH? They're doing another study. Are they going to study the finances as well as the sort of the organizational suggestions?
During the ambulance study, they gave us an idea of what we could afford and a couple of different models of what it would cost. So yes, the finance portion will be in there, I'm assuming.
Okay. And also with Chief Morgan, I was very surprised that you can raise 89% of your money through contributions. That's pretty amazing. Really is it?
It's been that way ever long as I can remember. I've been in there for 45 years.
Do other departments do the same? Have they the same success?
Pretty much all of them try to do the best, but again, some of them just don't have the clientele in their area to do it. I guess this department is probably the most active was fundraising. And even if there was some type of fee, whatever goes in place, I can almost assure you that we won't stop fundraising. Because we can all use that little extra. But the other key thing to use is fundraising is it's been a wonderful source of good public relations. We become a big family here on bingo night. So that goes a lot further.
Wednesday, 6 p.m.
Every Wednesday, yeah. But that does go a lot farther than just the dollar. Just that, again, I keep saying public relations because my father beat that in my head ever since I was little. And I know Cop Shipley, I didn't know him before, but he beat it in my dad's head for years. So, and then Denny Barrington, I can tell you the same thing. Public relations is the key to any organization, whether you're a Boy Scout or a fire department. It's a success. And, back to where I talk about the clientele, the population. Yeah, this department has, for many years, it's all about putting the substation in the Cartersville area. But it's been two key factors. Number one is the financing of it, trying to build another station. But the other big thing was we just never felt that there was enough people that could support that, volunteer. I mean, I'm sure there would be some, but just not enough. And I think that's been some of the problem with another department, that the public support is just not there. And to me, that's what whenever you start a fire department, I think that's the first thing you ought to do is get hold public. What are you thinking? You, not financially, not just financially, but also physically. Can you put on your boots and stuff and come home and help us? So it's just a long trip.
The gentleman asked, go ahead, Chief Booth.
Not only am I a commissioner, I'm also the chief at Middleway. And all the fire companies do something a little different fundraising wise. We are about 55 to 60% of our income comes from fundraising. And Ross's explanation is spot on. When you do these different fundraising events, you draw different people and it's just different content. And they all feel a part of the fire company, be it for bingo or a sportsman bash or the open houses. So yeah, but each fire company makes their own decision of what works for them, and how to move forward.
It does seem kind of ironic, and I'm not criticizing you all for your fundraising. It's wonderful. But I think this is the richest county in West Virginia. Or close to it. And yet, you know, for this vital service, you have to go out and, you know.
I could be wrong, but I think we're probably the only essential service doesn't get funded properly by the county.
And it's about revenue sources. So when you say richest, that's per capita income. Income tax goes to the state, goes to the fed. Property tax pays for county service. So that's why we keep talking about commercial versus residential. Commercial pays double property tax, doesn't need a lot of services. Residential pays a low tax rate, needs a lot of service. So when we say it's out of balance, that's what we're talking about. It's because of the property tax.
Yeah. Jack, Chief Kiger put his hand up. To answer your question about what do we want to get out of this? I think we want kind of what you just said, right? Is that we're gambling on funding an emergency service. And so we want a sustainable, permanent funding mechanism in place and some more help with people on fire trucks. Those are, I think, the two main things that we're trying to get out of this.
I'm Micah Kiger. I'm 27-year member here at Shepherdstown. I'm also a resident of Shepherdstown. So essentially what I'm hearing back in 2021, when Fitch did the study previously, this is the first time that I've ever heard what Commissioner Stolifer just said, is that they provided what we could afford. That's what they gave us, correct? Then if that's the case, they did not provide this county with the money that was due with that study. It's not what we can afford, it's what we need. There's a difference with that. So if we're going to pay to have another study that's going to tell us what we already know, this time is going to include what? It's going to include fire as well, correct? So with that in mind, they're going to talk about effective firefighting. What's it take to do that? Does anybody up there know what it takes to do that? Or how many people it takes to do that? That's a question.
I can say I don't know. That's why we're doing a study for it.
Do you want the consultant to introduce
It's-
himself?
Yes, that would be helpful.
So they're going to reference times in there to be able to meet effective firefighting force. That's going to point back to people. We don't have to have a study to know that we need people to be able to meet that standard. It's just crazy to me that we're going to test for something that we already know the answer to. And it's going to cost money to be able to do that. That's where we need the county commission to look to be able to support that. You all already said you may be holding the bag from past commission. That's fine, but that is the task that you have ahead of you right now. So I will tell you, thank you for listening, but we're not here to tell you what you want to hear. We're here to tell you, I think, what you need to hear with that. And it's good that there's somebody in the audience, that there's a CPR safe. But what happens if nobody was here? That's on you all. You already recognize that the provision of EMS in Jefferson County, that sits with you all. then unless I'm missing something, it sits with you, goes to the county commissioner, or excuse me, to the county administrator, and that goes to the director of EMS. Am I tracking that correctly?
The county is responsible for providing EMS. That's correct.
So with this study, they're going to tell us what we already know. We need more people. Who's responsible for after they tell you that? What happens when Joe Q. Citizen doesn't get what they feel they need? That's you all that are holding that back. You realize that, right?
I absolutely realize that. Yeah, it is our responsibility to make decisions about how to apply resources in the county. Yes.
So I have experience in a combination system working full time. I've watched it grow over the years. I'm very happy to hear that the pathway forward here includes combination, because that is the only way we will get where we need to go in Jefferson County. Am I in favor of 24-hour staffing across the board in Jefferson County? Yes, because that almost guarantees that someone is available, maybe. But that does not account for the multiple calls that happen at the same time, or the ability for the director of the county to be able to have funding, because there's overtime and everything else associated with all of what they do. I don't know how you figure out a budget for the ESA. I have no idea how that is, because there's ongoing training, as an example. There's ongoing calls where you have to pay people on that 42-hour work week, that they're on overtime because they get a call 5 minutes till the end of their shift, and you have to pay them 2 hours of overtime because they're providing the service. So there's going to be stuff that if you decide to do this study, they're going to tell you what you already know. It's going to point back to people. We're wasting time doing a study. We need to figure out how to get a funding mechanism in place, whether it's a levy, whether it's fee, whatever, and make it happen. And that's, as a resident of Jefferson County, I'm asking you all, that's my expectation of you. You all want to make a difference for what you were elected to do. That's one of them. And that's to support what we've got in place right now. Because you asked about whether there's enough apparatus in the county. What happens if somebody comes to you and says that we need a fire engine? We don't have the means to be able to do that. What happens? What happens with this study when they say that, oh, well, the 7 fire stations that's in the county, we say that you need 3 ladder trucks now, or you need 2 additional tankers to meet a 4, 8, or 12-minute standard. So it's not what we can afford, it's what needs to happen in the county. And it's going to be a number that you all don't want to see. So be prepared for that with that study. And what I would ask as a resident of the county is that when that study is done, it's not altered, and it's not what we can afford. It's what is needed in the county.
Well, do you want the consultant to go over what is the outcome of the study? So David, you're on if you want to introduce yourself and then talk a little bit about what will be the outcome of the study.
Hi, good afternoon. Yeah, this is David Puckett with Fitch and Associates. I'm on tonight on behalf of Dr. Steve Knight, who's the principal for this project.
I can't hear you, David.
Still can't hear me? Looks like I'm good on my end.
Good on our end too. Go for it.
Okay, all right, so you can hear me. Thank you. I'm David Puckett. I'm on tonight for Fitch and Associates. Dr. Steve Knight is the principal for this project. He couldn't be here tonight with us, but he is a fire service from the fire service down in Florida for a number of years until he went to Fitch full time. I'm currently still in the fire service over in Albemarle County, Virginia, as a deputy chief of operations there. The study right now, we're reaching out to the 911 center to get the call data so that we can sort of figure out what the call demand is, the concentration of calls, and concurrent calls, how many times they're happening simultaneously. I've heard some of you talk about that. And then to the point of what it will point to is we'll look at the demand and how many resources are necessary to meet that demand and where they need to be located. Fitch usually will include an assessment based off your current station locations, meaning what can you provide, what type of response times can you provide from your current fixed facilities. And then they'll usually also provide, if you cleaned everything off the map, what would that look like if you went back and added stations, where would be the most advantageous locations? And so we will provide some options for the council to look at as far as if you want to meet this response time standard, or you want to meet that response time standard, what would that take? And it's usually a number of resources, which again then goes down to personnel. You could look at that sort of agnostic, meaning it could be career or it could be volunteer, but it requires this number of units, this number of people to provide the service that you want to do. But we will cost that out based off your salary information. For if you did it fully career staff, this is what it would cost, and then whatever percentage that you can utilize volunteers would decrease that cost accordingly. I hear that you guys are currently on a 2472, presumably with EMS only, and so we can also provide some options on what it would cost if you did dual role across the board. On a 2472, or if you went to a 3-platoon schedule, what would that savings look like for consideration of the council?
What NFPA standard will you be referencing?
They will usually look at both 1710 and 1720, as well as SIPC standards. But there is ultimately what level of risk the community wants to accept is up to the council and the community. But we can reference those standards for sure.
So a follow-up to the commission.
Can you speak in the mic so we can record it? Thank you.
I'll be happy to. What he referenced, you all are not going to want to hear it, especially if that report comes to you in its raw form, because we're not meeting it today. If you go back to the Fitch study that was done in 2021, where the reference was the first time tonight that they gave us what we could afford. What was the answer of what we couldn't afford? And I heard a reference of, we didn't go with Cadillac, we didn't go with Pinto. What'd we go with? And is it meeting what it was designed to do? I would reckon to say that the answer is no. And who's responsible for that? As it sits today, it's the folks that are sitting in front.
Yeah, I just want to say for the record, I wholeheartedly believe in setting budgets for government spending and operating within those budgets. So if there's folks who don't agree with that, I'd love to hear from you. We have hospitals in the United States of America. They operate within budgets. We have police departments. They operate within budgets. I'm seeing laughter in the back room of the room. Yeah, they actually do have budgets. And they make life-saving decisions within those budgets. No, that's a real thing. If you think that providing emergency services is just about, let's make a list of everything we need and costs be damned, that's not how it works. It isn't. You have to have a budget and you have to operate within it. So, like I said earlier, somebody thinks we're fighting. I think we're finally talking. Now we're finally talking. Okay, Mr. Doyle.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to address something that came up a little bit earlier. Somebody asked what counties around here would be the ones that would be the best ones to look at to see what's happening. And I don't know about nearby, but I did want to put out a word of caution. And Mr. President, I'm sure you understand this. The state rules in Maryland and Virginia are very different than those here. You might encounter something that a neighboring county in Virginia or Maryland is doing that they were able to do on their own. And if you wanted to do it, you might discover you have to get the permission of the legislature to do it. West Virginia has one of the tightest sets of rules on local governments of any state in the union. Virginia is a lot more lax. Maryland is even more lax than Virginia in terms of allowing counties to make decisions on their own. So I just want to caution you for that. And I wanted to throw out something else for you to think about if you wish. The one other county in West Virginia that I think is most similar to Jefferson is Putnam. It's not close to here. But Putnam is approximately the size of Jefferson in population. 30 years ago, we were slightly less population. Now we're slightly more, but both counties have grown considerably over that time. Putnam's growth is not from out of state. It's people in Charleston and Huntington moving to Putnam County, but it's growing. It does not have one big town, you know, like Martinsburg or Morgantown or Parkersburg or something like that. It's got a half a dozen towns, none of which is any larger than Charlestown, and they're scattered all over the county. And it has countywide zoning, like Jefferson does. There are a whole lot of similarities. So if you wanted to look someplace in West Virginia and see what had been done that might help, I would suggest that's the one to look at. That's it. Thank you.
So one of the budget decisions that has to be made is, do you have your ambulances in areas of highest call volume? Or do you distribute your ambulances in a different way? So when we were at Bakerton, for example, we heard comments from the audience about how they wanted to see an ambulance at Bakerton. So the questions that you have to have is, when you have a budget, are they gonna go in Shepherdstown? Are they gonna go in Bakerton? Are we gonna have one every 6 blocks? I mean, you had your middle finger up just a few seconds ago and you're laughing now. You're the one who asked for the ambulance to go into Bakerton. Would you like to comment on that? Please, let's get a microphone in the back.
In my family, we just had a surgery and we had to pay for a $300 warming blanket we didn't get to take home. So that's why I was laughing. I think you're a little paranoid. That wasn't anything directed at you. So thank you.
Okay.
And I am from Bakerton
All right.
area. And yes, I was at the Monday night meeting and we had an ambulance under the old Pinto version. Before Pinto version, you're correct. And so my question is is this a levy or die? What is this? I mean, you know, our call time, response time was told to us, and I have a FOIA out for those response time to verify, was 14 to 16 minutes to Bakerton. I came here tonight to see Shepherdstown because Shepherdstown has always been, I've been bingo here. I love Shepherdstown. And I know that this station is going to probably serve me in a way, and so is Harper's Ferry. So I'm here tonight to see what the difference is. My call time, response time, I was told is 14 to 16 minutes, as opposed to beforehand was 4 to 6 minutes. So yes, there's a problem.
Right.
And I would like to know how this is going to pan out. And yes, I don't think that the people in the Bakerton area should have lost their ambulance. It shouldn't have happened. It is not easy to get into that area. It was a perfect place on the river. We've got a lot of issues with the river emergencies and stuff. So, you know, moving things around, doing that kind of thing, you know, and besides that, I'm allowed to laugh in public, by the way. That was why I was laughing. So
Learning from your comments. Thank you so much. And I appreciate the middle finger as well. So let me ask this question.
Finger.
The one you just raised.
I didn't have a middle finger.
Oh, don't lie. Come on, Jackie, grow up.
Oh, come on.
Let's grow up. Let's not act like children.
Just a little.
Let's not act like children. Now, about rerouting ambulances. When the government makes decisions about where to put ambulances, the government will put ambulances where the highest call volume is. You guys realize that's how it works, right? We're in Shepherdstown. We have a high density population. That works really well if you live in Shepherdstown. So there are trade-offs. There are decisions that are made about where ambulances and life-saving services will go. Those are made by professionals and based on statistics that we get through studies and recommendations from our professional staff.
And I would like to add on something to that too, as far as our budget. As I mentioned earlier, our budget for the whole county is 40 million. Out of that 40 million, we have to statutory fund the elected positions. So we have to fund the sheriff, the prosecutor, assessor, clerk, and circuit clerk. Did I get everybody? And if we don't fund them, they can sue us, and they will win because it's law. Our emergency services is our largest budget. It's $6.8 million. That's what we have to work with. So when I talked about the previous Fitch study, they gave us what we could.
Yeah, right. And so we budget to fund it. Establish a description of funds. Sources to show up.
Somebody showed up with a gun. And that's essential services that the government must provide, in my opinion, and that's why I ran for office. So you had a question over here, sir?
Hey, Roger Fessenden. I live in Jefferson County. I'm also a firefighter in Maryland. I want to make sure I clarified my stance when you asked about the fire tax or fire fees or levies. I did not raise my hand in support. However, that is not because I wouldn't support any of those mechanisms. I just have certain concerns that are
As across similar.
as the needs of the fire department develop over the course of multiple years. I've seen jurisdictions that don't have that roped into a fire tax have the ability to pull from other pots and make up for it as they need to. So that was my only consideration for not supporting that. However, if it came to no mechanism to fund all these things that we've been discussing, or a fire tax levy, whatever the case is, I would adamantly support whatever mechanisms are appropriate to campaign for them. Openings with that. So I was going to kind of caution away from the discussion on the call times, but it's come up a couple times now. I think the county commissioners discussed that they have to make decisions in the best interest of the county. If this area, this fire department here has the call times that you'd mentioned, 4 minutes or so, that's fantastic. And congratulations on that. However,
Jurisdictions.
population. So also I'd voice my support of the study. I know that to some people it seems like wasted money, but it's very easy if you're not a firefighter to look at the numbers that you're going to get back and not understand what they're saying. So that's why I support, as you guys have a study that's going to give you that information so you can make informed decisions. To my brother's concerns over here about the fact that you're going to get back numbers that are going to scare you. I wholeheartedly agree that as they're looking at this study, it's going to be shocking. I would, as I think I told you on day one, discussing this with you guys, in regards to this study, kind of a question, maybe just a hope, put out that information in maybe this format so that the community is able to see what that Cadillac cost is, what those responses would look like, and the discussions of that. Is that the plan, is to have that study available?
No, answer. Get our expert answer that's online.
Consultant chime in on that? Yes, the information will be public, but let's have him expound on that.
Yes, it will be public, and just for everybody's reference, the Fitch study that was done in 21, that's online as well too. That's still available on our website. Urge you to go look at that one as well.
Right, and I believe that's really all I had. I'll pass the mic off.
You have to chime in?
Yeah, can we have you chime in, David?
Yeah, as far as the study, once we deliver that, it'll be up to the commission on how they want to publish it, make it public. I don't know off the top of my head if in the scope of work there was, I assume there's always a presentation probably to the council for that Steve Knight would probably provide. I'm not sure if there's any additional sort of town hall presentations or not.
And speaking for myself, I just wanted to thank Michael for your comments, Roger, Roy, and everyone else who came tonight. We're not here for PR and niceties. We're here to learn and humble ourselves so we can make educated decisions. So speaking for myself, I want to be solution oriented, and at the end of the study, there might be really high numbers, but we have to embrace what we get and make decisions and continue to be transparent with you and continue to have you in our conversation. So if you want my card after, I'm happy to give it to you.
Yeah, I'd like to comment that all of the town halls that we've been to, it's been pretty clear to me that we have a terrible lack of funding problem and a manpower shortage too. And I think the first would help take care of the second if it could be resolved. And what I'm looking for is the funding at what level? What is the appropriate level? Do we do a levy or a fee? Reminding everyone that a levy at least is tax deductible. But like I say, it is fragile. So what will the populace support? We have people who claim to be big supporters of fire, and they refuse to pay the ambulance fee. And that's despicable. In my book, that's the highest point of hypocrisy. So what we're looking for with the study, with all of the information that we put together, we're trying to come out with a full formula that the population can support, because if it has to go before the voters, we have to do a good salesman job on that. If we levy a larger fee, we're going to have people that will resist that. So it's not an easy solution, and that's why we're continuing these studies and getting input from people, populists like you. I would like to echo what Carrie just said. Thank you very much for coming. I've been taking copious notes at all of these town halls, and we've gotten a wide variety of solutions. Most of them have been pretty reasonable and constructive, and we always appreciate constructive comments. So thank you very much for coming.
Can y'all give me a chance? Did everyone get the memo to hold on to the mic so Mr. Tabb couldn't speak? Did everyone get that memo?
Mr. Tabb, I didn't see you with the mic.
What are you talking about? You got the mic now, use it.
Okay,
What a baby.
that's nice. Thank you. Thank you. I would like to echo again, back to the Shepherdstown Fire Department and their staff. They've been working diligently for at least 4 years that I've been involved in. And what their facts are facts. They're true, they're honest, and they're to the point. The county commission has laid blame on the fit study. The fit study said that you needed 12 ambulances to continue to keep the response. You chose to do it less than that. Doesn't make any difference what you had, what you didn't have. You asked for the study, it came, and you chose to put the county in a higher risk instead of working with the professionals that have been here for a long, long time. This building did not need a fit study to tell them how big it was, what they needed. They knew. You had experienced people that knew. And a lot of them were paid fire companies from down in the city. We've had a lot of people that have been paid from the city. That's where the expertise came 40, 50 years ago. And these people came back and volunteered their services and time to make sure that this is the county could be the best it could be. And now, with all this stuff in front of you, you fail. And if you think that because you've only been here for a year or 6 months or whatever, you knew that coming in for the election, do not use that as an excuse. The information is there. The response time is there. It's not good. It is so bad that I have my own fire truck and own ambulance, and I can't use it. It's not a problem. How do you think this has been here for 233 years? Do you think it was people that were waiting for a study? No, the public came together, donated stuff, and this county commission and the previous have destroyed small business. You've taxed us, you haven't helped us, you've given hundreds of millions of dollars to other people to come in here that aren't even from this country. And then you wonder why there isn't any business. Because there's very few people like me that started from scratch, worked hard, donate, still donate, and I haven't taken a paycheck for 18 years. Why? Because I'd only be given the government tax money. So I donate my time and resources to anyone that asks for it. I even took on a food bank. I really don't have time to do it, but nobody else was. Why do you think I do that? Because I was trained by my parents. And like some other people said, they've been beat into their head that they needed to do this. If we don't come together, whether you're elected or you're not, doesn't make any difference. If we don't come together and fix this, then everybody's done. And you're right. It's not just this county. It's the whole country, if not the whole world. It's happening everywhere. My brother's out in Montana. He's the chief out there fighting cancer, still running calls, shouldn't be. And he donated a lot of time and expertise here and then went out west, and I donated a fire truck to them, and I got fired up. Why didn't I volunteer or donate it to the West Virginia? I said, because the people in Montana respect me. And that's what this is coming down to, is respect. You have not respected what everyone else has done for over 233 years. You have not respected them. Put your life on the line. These guys do every day. And now they've been beat dead. So you want a suggestion? Give back all 12 ambulances to the fire stations that had them begin with. Let them help, let them manage it. They're professionals. They've been doing it for a long time. Their budget, yes, is a whole lot smaller than yours, but I tell you what, they squeezed every penny, and y'all are kind of making fun of Denny that he squeezes every penny. He does it for a reason. He's good at it. He's extremely good at it.
Nobody made fun of Denny Barron. I've only complimented him. Thank you, Mr. Tab.
Okay,
Yeah, don't go there.
so I apologize.
Tab, I would like to interject respectfully. I am a small business owner living in Jefferson County. I have 4 kids. I'm here.
I've been paying taxes for 65 years.
Well, I'm not.
I've
65.
owned property, so have you paid taxes for 65 years and millions of dollars? Because I have done business.
Sir,
With me. So anyway, I understand, we're off track.
You're off track. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
and I apologize for that, but also I was challenged, but it's okay. It still comes down to one thing. It comes down to one part. If we don't work together, we're done. Thank you for your time.
Well, I do want to mention about the 12 ambulances that this Fitch study, Mr. Tabbitt said it, that this Fitch study called for. I'm actually looking at the Fitch study that was done in 2021. I haven't looked at it in a long time. But it didn't call for 12 units. It's not even on the sheet here. It's 4, 6, and 8. So I don't know where the 12 came from, but it's here in front of me. It's online. I would encourage everybody to go look at it. Anybody else?
Well, I'll just say, we appreciate you all being here. This was a missing component previously, and this is important. Thank you all for being here because this affects you all every day. So I do applaud the commission. We haven't always gotten along great, Steve, but I'd still buy you a beer.
But I still love you.
That's right.
I still love you, Marshall. And I would buy you a beer too. But no, I would like to thank, everybody here from Shepherdstown. This is our biggest crowd we've had. We had a really good crowd in Bakerton, and we have a great crowd here. This is the best crowd we've had at all of them. We do appreciate the feedback. Again, this study is still continuing to go. I think we're going to have it back in about 6 months, but this input's very helpful. And again, if I hear you, if they give us the numbers, it's going to look scary, but it's a starting point. And we can only afford what we have in our revenues that comes into the county. We don't have a $20 million slush fund sitting somewhere, but I do appreciate y'all coming out here on a Friday night. This is a great turnout. You had some great questions, some great input. Do you have anything else you're gonna say, Pasha?
Yeah, so I'd like to finish by saying thank you everybody for coming out. It's an amazing attendance here. We've heard a lot of great information from all of the sites we've been to. And we've been taking down notes, and we'll take all that together in the end. Thank you.
This commission is committed to fixing the problem. And that's all I can say at this point, but we're committed to make it better.
Chief Morgan, thank you so much for hosting us. This has been a fantastic discussion. We're going to collect the data. I'm going to linger here. I love mixing it up. I love the tough questions. I'm going to linger here. Hit me with some more. I'm going to stay after. This is great. And we'll continue the conversation, the three of us. Can I come back and just chat with you one-on-one? Is that cool? Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here.